in the mall, during church. Do you have trouble keeping your pants on? Do you crave that glorious feeling of escaping the confines of leg tubes and butt barricades? There is a place you can go. Welcome to the No Pants Zone, the first Friday night of every month at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, only on Paramania Radio. The No Pants Zone. Freedom, oh sweet freedom.
Paranormal and dark tourism, Halloween, and horror? Does this sound like a show for you? If it's haunted, scary, macabre, and unusual, then Haunt Jaunts is where it's at. Each week, special guests will be joining the host and ambassador of dark and paranormal tourism, Courtney Maroc, to help guide you to your next adventure. So turn up your speakers and settle in every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific for Haunt Jaunts on Paramania Radio. Come jaunt with us if you dare.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual hosts and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Paramania, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
You are listening to Paramania Radio.
Hi, welcome to Paramania Radio. You're listening to Leo Bonomo, the voice of spirit, and tonight we're talking about manifesting, and hopefully Sue's going to join us. She was supposed to be here. She maybe have overslept. Not to worry. We just wish her the very best with that. So, as I say, tonight we're talking about manifesting, and it's something that I've been doing for several years, and I think generally I started it, I got divorced in 2013, and I think I started it 2 or 3 years before that. And there is a knack to it. It's not something that everybody does, and in fact I would say that for 80% of people it doesn't work, and there are very simple reasons why it doesn't work for them. One of those reasons is, for example, if you need a new car and you ask for a new car and you can't decide whether it's red or it's blue, or maybe a black one would be nice. And the essence of it is that if you have doubts in any ways, or you feel that, I want a car, and the back of your mind goes, I'm not that lucky, those things will throw the whole thing out of kilter. So there are ways of manifesting, and there are ways of making things happen. And that's something that we're going to go through tonight. So, what is manifesting exactly? The universe wants to give you whatever makes you happy. And there are many things that make us happy. Sometimes we get things that we don't want. And we ask for something, and you know the old saying, be careful what you wish for, and you get it and you find out it's not exactly what you want. That kind of thing as well can also make you feel that what you're trying isn't worth it, or it's not working right for you. And quite often we ask for things quite spuriously, so we'll just think that's something we want, and it arrives, and it taints the whole thing. It changes the essence of it. So what we're going to do is go through why it works, and then we're going to go through how it works, and then we're going to look at things that we might want. and the various reasons for needing to ask, and the various reasons for continuing to make sure that whatever it is works. Now, one of the things that I have asked for shortly before I got married was I was keeping on making sure, or trying to make sure, that I had enough money to pay the bills. And one of the first essential laws, if you like, of manifesting is that the universe will give you what you think of most. And this is actually quite a good example, because what I was thinking about most was just making sure that I got bills paid. And the consequence of that was that I was just about getting the bills paid. And it was a bit of a scramble each month, and I'd get through and I might be a few pounds short, or that kind of thing. The same kind of thing that we all experience. And I began to realise that I was getting exactly what I was thinking about most. I was getting just about through the month. And it came as quite a revelation to me. And so what I said was that I have got money over at the end of the month. Now, it's a very simple, unambiguous, direct request. And you have to know that however impossible it may seem, it's going to work out. You just have to have that faith. So that's one of the things that we'll go through again in a little while. But it's one of the fundamentals. You have to know that it is going to work, no matter how odd it may seem. And so I thought, right, I've got money over at the end of the month. Now, one of the things which confuses people and worries people is if you are running up bills and you've not got enough money and the bills come through the door, it's quite obvious that they're there. You can't deny they're there. But what you have to do is get yourself in a frame of mind of is it will get paid, I will pay it. So what you need to do really is convince yourself, in spite of the obvious evidence to the contrary, that it will work itself out. So that is a fundamental. It's very difficult to get over. That is something that does stop a lot of people as well, because they say, well, it's fine telling yourself you've got money when the bills come in and you can't pay them. It's quite a big blockage, but it's something that you can learn to override. So in spite of evidence of struggling every month, I told myself that I had money over. And within 2 months, I had £20 or £30 over. And I've not looked back since then. Money has always been there. So that's an important thing to understand. The universe does want to give you whatever you want, whatever will make you happy. And there are some myths that abound, and one of them is that if you're asking for something, then somebody else is going to get the equivalent lack. In other words, you're taking it from them. Not quite sure who started that, whether that was just done maliciously or it was somebody's thought of there's only so much. It's also called the law of abundance. And that means there's complete abundance in the universe. So no one is going to lack. Whatever you ask for, if 10 million people ask for the same thing, they will get it as well, providing that they're applying the laws of manifestation correctly. So it's not a fact of there's only so much in the pot, and if you take it, someone's going lacking. Because that is, if that's the kind of thing that is in the back of your mind, then what you're doing is creating doubt. So that brings us to another law of manifestation, that if there's any doubt at all, again, if you go back to the car, and you can't decide what colour car it is you want, if you're unsure, then what the universe does is nothing. And so nothing will happen. So you have to be very sure about what it is that you want. One of the other details to this is try not to make it too specific. Again, you can go to red car, blue car, whatever it is that you may be thinking about. And there is no limit to what you can ask for, whether it's money, relationship, houses, cars, whatever you can think of. There's no limit to it, and the universe, strangely enough, doesn't understand or realise zeros. So it doesn't matter whether you ask for £10 or $10 or £100, $100 or $1 million. The noughts don't really mean anything to the universe. Obviously, 1 million or 10 million or 200 million will take a little more time to accomplish, but there is no limit to it. So as long as you know that it's going to work and feel that it's going to work, then it will begin. That process will start. I don't know if any of you have read The Secret, which was the first book. It was by a lovely lady called Lorna Byrne, Byrne, and she discovered The Secret. And basically what The Secret is, it's been known since time immemorial. And all those that have been successful, whether they have been Leonardo da Vinci, for example, was aware of The Secret. Many famous men, famous scientists, famous musicians, leaders, painters, musicians, I think I mentioned that. Many of those from way back in history were aware of The Secret. And once you decide on what it is you want to be good at, without again being too specific, you need to be in a very happy frame of mind. If you have joy, it helps to attract joy, but it also helps to attract that confidence that whatever you're going to ask for is going to itself manifest. It is going to be there. And many famous people in the past have used this. Now, it was called The Secret because those that understood the law of manifestation didn't generally want everybody to know about it. So it was, I wouldn't say a sect or a secret society, but there was a society there that understood this, used it for their gain, and kept it from the general public. So there was a sense there of it being a secret club that people understood the laws of and could manifest these things for themselves. So you may be surprised to know that the basics of The Secret are also in the Bible, if you read the Bible. And it's shown there in two ways. One is knock and the door shall open, and the other is ask and you shall receive. So that may stun a lot of people that it's actually there and it's quite blatant. And it is a direct reference to manifestation and the universe being there, not entirely at our disposal, but certainly at our disposal. So it's been known for a long, long time, many, many thousands of years. And those that have understood it, applied it correctly, have had whatever they want, whether it's success in sport, sciences, getting to some sort of rank, whatever it might be. So those are the things that you need to understand. So I do recommend the book, The Secret. all those involved in The Secret, I think originally there were 7 of them, are all multimillionaires, very successful, and being successful, but also being business people. They understood that you can't give the whole thing away in one book. So you have The Power, and there are several books. There's The Secret, The Power. I can't think what the other is. It will come back to me. But there are 4 or 5 in the book. So obviously you need to buy the books. They make even more money. And you are given small tidbits of it. So when you read The Secret itself, it'll give you small amounts of what's needed, but it doesn't give you the whole thing. And so some people will read that. I prefer the DVD. You can get the DVD on Amazon. I'm more of a visual person, and you can see the DVD. You can take pieces of it and you can try and apply it. And because you're not given the whole thing, it is I suppose you would say a bit hit and miss as to whether or not it works. So the idea for them is obviously to sell this series of books. But myself, having been through it, I can give you shortcuts as to how this works and why it works and the kind of things that you can achieve. Now, there is a regular caller called Nell, and she was asking about a car, because her car had broken down. I'm not going to give away too much of Nell's private life, but there were complications in getting a new car. It didn't seem to be at all possible for her, and the car she had broken down. It was basically scrap, and that was it. And she called me and she asked me about this, because there are other things that Neil wants, and again they're private, so I'm not going to go into those. But there was great frustration with Neil with this one thing that she wanted, and it was unselfish. It's not just for her. But there was great frustration with her about this. Has been going on, I think she said 8 years, and it hasn't manifested. And what I explained to her was that you have to be happy. You have to have no stress about it, because again, the universe anticipates stress as doubt. So it just cancels out and basically nothing happens. And she was being very, very specific about this car. Nell has some dogs, and she wanted a car big enough for dogs. And so she started to scrutinize what she wants. She started to place emphasis on this bit and that bit, and really making more demands. And her expectation of the other thing that she wanted was, it's been 8 years, it's not happened yet. And what I explained to her was that what you need essentially is a car. And for you to just ask for a car that's suitable, and, you know, forget the colour, forget the fact that it has to be a certain size because of dogs and getting dogs in the back of the car. Forget all that. Just focus on a car that is suitable. And I do think that she took it on board, but I do think there was a little frustration there, because the other thing she'd wanted for so many years hasn't yet manifested. But I said to her, don't be specific. You just need a car that's going to work for you. It's going to be suitable. I got a call during the week, and Neil was extremely, extremely excited, because she was given, and I mean given, she didn't pay for the car. She was given a car that was suitable. It was big enough for the dogs. It came from a source that had previously told her again, without going into too many details, that there is no way they are giving her anything, let alone a car. It was made very plain nothing was going to happen. So I told her to just focus on a car that's suitable. Doesn't matter what colour, doesn't matter what size engine or anything, just that. And she rang me very, very excitedly, and she said, "You'll never guess what's happened." And I thought it was the first thing that she'd been asking for. And she said, "I've got a car, and I've got it from this direction that had told me absolutely with surety nothing was going to come from that source." And so she was very, very excited that it happened. And it was a great sense of confirmation for me, or reconfirmation, if there's such a word, that this works, that you just need to have faith. And once you understand the principles which we're going to go through, then this will work for you. The universe doesn't have any axe to grind. It doesn't matter what you ask for. The trick is knowing how to ask and to have absolute faith that it will turn up. Now, if you read or watch the universe, you'll see many examples there. One was of a multimillionaire that crashed his plane, and the plane basically fell out of the sky. He was taken to the hospital, lucky to be alive. If I remember correctly, and I do stand to be corrected, I think he crashed the plane in May, and the doctors told him that because his spine was shattered, I think many of his bones were broken, that he would never ever walk again. And he told the doctors, barefaced, that he would be walking out of there by Christmas on his own. And obviously they thought, well, we're no better. We're trained. We've trained for years. We know what we're talking about. Not going to happen. Suffice it to say that gentleman, in the secret, by Christmas was walking out on his own 2 feet. So that is one of the stories from The Secret. Another one that was there was of a gentleman that had, they advocate having a wish board. And what a wish board is, whatever you want, you put it on the board. So it's a daily reminder, but you're not stressing over it. It's there. It's just a little memory jogger, really. And he was moving house, and there was lots of boxes still unopened, and his young son said to the gentleman, "What's in this box?" And he opened it up. He said, "Oh, this is a wish board," and he got it out. And a few years earlier, he'd found a picture of a house. The house actually cost $5 million from memory, and he took this picture and he stuck it on the wish board. And the house that they were moving in and unpacking from was that house. I know that takes some thought to take in. I know it's like, really? Because the gentleman at the time that he'd wanted that house, he hadn't had a lot of money. And so he physically needed to make the money to be able to buy the house. So he was quite amazed that, of course, this picture that was on this board was the physical house they were still actually just moving into. So that is something that's also in The Secret. So there are lots of little stories there. There's, I think, as I say, there's 6 or 7 people there, and they're all telling the stories. So we're just going to go into a break. And as we go into this break, think on what's been said, and we'll go into it a bit more, and we'll see you after the break.
Do you want talk radio that is hip, exciting, and has amazing guests?
And it's all about the paranormal. Join Sheena Meadow each week on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. You'll want to come play with us at the Haunted Playground.
So it's Monday.
Yeah.
And what do we always do on Monday?
Well, duh. We go there.
Where at?
Paramania, how long you been doing this?
Well, long enough, but we need to let other people know.
I know you'd be like,
this is Teresa, and please come join us for Set Chat and Rap with the Lanchas. Jay'll
and
make
this
you
is
laugh.
Jay. Hey, y'all, this is Big Dumb Redneck. Come listen to us here on ParamaniaRadio.com.
I'll get out my stones and my crystals and make you feel all tingly inside.
And I'm about as sensitive as a rock.
You're a rock.
Guess Sparty's one. What time?
7 to 9 p.m. Where are you at?
I'm right here.
Why?
I'm sitting next to you. You're looking at me.
I'm not like being in the studio with you. You do bad things.
Oh, no, not all the time. You guys come and listen to us.
I
on
would.
ParamaniaRadio.com.
I would, because she's funny.
Monday nights, 7p to 9p.
Eastern Daylight Time. ParamaniaRadio.com.
If you would like to be kept up to date on upcoming show information and events here on Paramania Radio, then please take the time to click on the like button above the chat room to like our Facebook page. And click on follow to follow us on Twitter. Thank you for listening to Paramania Radio.
You are listening to Paramania Radio.
Hi, welcome back. You're listening to Leo Bonomo on Paramania Radio. We're talking about manifestation tonight. So if you want to join in, you can get us in the chat room. You can also get in contact with us on Facebook, and that's www.facebook.com/Paramania Radio. And you can call us if you're in the UK on 0702 4081 722, or if you're in the States you can get us on 919-2950-150. So if you have any experiences of manifesting or trying to manifest and it not happening, do call in. If you want a reading, do call in. And or as say, get us in the chat room or on Facebook. So, talking about manifestation, as I said, the main reason that it doesn't work is that there's a certain amount of doubt that creeps in. One of the things that you have to do once you think happy thoughts, this is kind of Peter Pan-ish, but a lot of these things, like Peter Pan and that, there are spiritual truths in there. And if you are happy, or manifest yourself being happy and thinking of something that makes you happy, then once you're in that frame of mind and you've got that atmosphere around you and you're fairly clear, not too specific, but fairly clear on what you want, and just know that it's going to happen, believe that it's going to happen, and don't worry about where it's going to come from, how it's going to get there, or even a time frame. And that really is the essence of manifestation. Being happy, knowing it's going to happen, and just leaving it to the universe. Manifestation is also called cosmic ordering, which is a good way of putting it. Now, if you order something from a catalogue, you know it's going to turn up. It doesn't matter whether it's UPS, the post office, it doesn't matter who's going to deliver it. You've ordered it, it's going to turn up. And that's the kind of attitude that you want with manifestation. Except that when something has been manifested, there's always a sweetener to it. So whatever you want turns up better. And it can be better in lots of different ways. It can either, if we're talking about cars, a better model, or if you'd thought about the colour that you'd wanted, it would, but hadn't manifested it. You're going to leave it. A car's a car. That's all I need. It will turn up in the colour that you would want. Perhaps not every specification that you want, but the specification that you would want, and it would turn up in time for when you needed it. So you can tell when something's turned up because of manifestation, because there's always that sweetener, that little twist to it. Now, you have to be proactive with it, because if you want to win the lottery, you're never going to win if you're not going to buy a ticket. And so what the universe also expects you to do is to be proactive. So it's no good saying, for example, I want a job, or I want this, and then not looking for a job. And it's the same with relationships. Lots of people say, well, I just want a relationship. I want one that's going to work. Well, if you're not going out of the house, it's possible, of course, that a knight in shining armour, especially if you're a lady. I'm sorry, I just had a very silly thought there. But, a knight in shining armour is not going to come knocking on your door. So you have to get out there. So you have to be proactive. And in 1 year, I'd asked for 23 different things that all manifested. And it wasn't so much big things. It was just small things. And what the book or the DVD, The Secret, does is it says start off with small things. So the example that they give of is if you like coffee, that today I'm going to get a free coffee. And really, it's a confidence builder to know that you can ask, be confident it's going to happen, and then it turns up. And so you go through a series of small steps that gradually get bigger until you can ask confidently for whatever's going to turn up. And it's mind-blowing when these things happen. So originally, I did ask for a cup of coffee. And I went into Costa's. Everyone knows Costa's. And I like a cappuccino. And I'd said in the morning, I'm going to get a free coffee today. Went into Costa's, asked them for a cappuccino. And the person serving said, we overordered on coffee. Here's one. And just gave me the coffee. And again, it's when you ask for that and it turns up, it's quite mind-blowing when it first happens. And so it's important that you go through asking for small things, because as you see it working, then it gives you the confidence to ask for bigger things and to be, if I say more specific, it's really more targeted. It's not too specific, but it's more targeted. And so I went through a phase of that, and then asking for a free meal, which Julie turned up. And, so those things really made me understand that this works. And it was at that point that I then realised that as far as paying bills, I was getting exactly what I was asking for, and that was just get me through the month. And that's exactly what I was getting, just about getting through the month. So I realised at that point that there was a flaw in my thinking. And it's quite a subtle thing to go from get me through to I have enough. The language is slightly different. There's a completely different slant to it. But as I understood that coffee was turning up, a meal was turning up, there were various other things that were turning up. And then I thought, right, well, what I really need is money over. And that kind of clicked, and I thought, fantastic, I'll ask for that. And as I say, within 2 months, I had 20 or 30 pound over and have never looked back. So those things are important. I'll give you another example. There was a neighbour that was looking for an aluminium jug, probably 4 or 5 litres, and he wanted that for his pond, and what he was going to do was connect a pump to it so that the jug would spill water into the pond, so it's quite attractive. He couldn't find one anywhere, and what I did was I thought, that's actually nice. He was a nice neighbour. I thought, well, I'll get one for him. And I was looking all over the web, and it was all 1-2 litres, just not big enough. So I said to the universe, I want an aluminium jug, and I want it, 4 or 5 litres, and I need this to give to my neighbour. Believe it or not, 2 days later, there was a house and a skip, and as I walked past, there was a brand new, still shiny, no dents, no scratches, aluminium jug, been thrown away. So I picked that up and I then took it to him. I've also manifested cars when I've needed them. After I got divorced, my daughter was going to college in, I might as well name it, in Loughton, and I needed a place to stay because the divorce was pending, and I said to the universe, I need somewhere that is close to that particular college. And I started looking in the area, and I found a place, and when I walked through, the carpets in the porch were sodden, the porch was leaking, the place was in a terrible state. I think they wanted at the time £1,400 a month. There was obvious signs of disrepair and the roof leaking, and it was leaking inside a cupboard. And the guy that was showing it to me said, we'll get this done, we'll get that done. And my point was that if you're not going to get it done to sell it, if I move in, nothing's going to get done at all. And the guy said to me blatantly, you'll never get anywhere round here better. And it was on a bad estate. Suffice it to say that probably a mile and a half away, I went to see a place. And what I'd asked for was 2 bedrooms and a garden. I found a beautiful place. It was, I think, 1,200 in excellent condition, and immediately said, I'm not going to quibble. I'll rent it. That's it. Got the money, paid the deposit, and moved in. And a few days after I'd moved in, I walked around a corner, and within sight was the college that my daughter was going to. So that was quite a big thing. I also manifested a settlement that I wanted from the marriage, because the marriage was very awkward. Breakups are not very nice. So that happened as well. I manifested all kinds of things. As I say, I was talking to my daughter that year, and I was trying to explain to her how the universe works, how manifestation works. And I started listing all these things that happened. And as I say, there were 23 of them, some of them quite small, like the jug. There was a neighbour that was causing a lot of problems where I used to live with another neighbour. And I was talking to the neighbour about manifestation. And she said, well, I'll kind of believe that when I see it. And I said, well, you ask for this to get sorted, and I'll ask as well. And the neighbour that was causing a problem had no intention of leaving at all, and asked for a solution. And within 3 months, that neighbour announced that she was then leaving, and she moved home, and the problem got fixed. There was another neighbour as well who was a policeman, always throwing his weight about. They had absolutely no intention of moving home. She was divorced, and her gentleman, the policeman, had moved in. and there was no way they were going to leave. He was causing a lot of problems, and I just said to the universe quite plain and simply, either they go or I go. Now, bearing in mind I was, divorce was pending, etc. But within 6 months, they had moved. So this can be a very powerful thing, very, very powerful thing. Those are instances there. And I had a friend, and her son, I think he was 7 at the time, they used to manifest things all the time. And when I was short of money and my friend was short of money, what we used to do was go to the bank, get 4 or 5 £5 notes, and we would find people that genuinely was sleeping rough and genuinely needed money. And 1 or 2 wouldn't accept it. They thought it was an insult. But we gave that money to these people. Some of them physically broke down crying. And the point of it was not just to make them feel human and make them feel that, somebody cares. But what we was doing, we were showing to the universe that even though we didn't have money, we were confident it was coming, and what we give, we receive, and we'll get back 100-fold. And so that was the reason for that. So that was something else important. It was being proactive in telling the universe, I know that money's coming to me. I might be short for the moment, but I'm giving money away because I know it's coming to me. And that was a way of being proactive. And as I say, that worked. Money came to my friend. She wanted to move home from where she was, and I gave her a reading. And I said, you will move into a bigger home, and it's within half a mile of where you are. Now, she was a council tenant, and she had a daughter and a son. So in the house that she was renting, she had 2 bedrooms because her son at the time was very young, stayed with her. Her daughter was in the 2nd bedroom. The daughter grew up, the son grew up, the daughter moved out, the son moved into her bedroom. So if you go for a council house, if you've got 2 children, they'll give you a 3-bedroom place. So there was no way that she should have got a 3-bedroom place. But what she wanted was a playroom, an extra room for her son and his toys. And I told her that she would have this place and it would be within half a mile, which happened. But against all odds, the council gave her a 3-bedroom place. So strictly speaking, she wasn't entitled to it. So she got this extra playroom. Now, one of the things when you ask for money through the universe is it's not always physically money that comes to you. It can also be that money is not going out. So in other words, it will stay in your pocket. And a good example of this was she'd been there a year and she hadn't paid any electricity bill at all. And the electric people turned up, wanted to read the meter. She was still quite confident. She knew she hadn't paid for anything. And what had happened was, because she'd been asking for money, was that the electrician realised that the meter had been bypassed, which is why she wasn't getting bills. Could be a big problem. And the end result of that was that they realised that it was the previous tenant that had bypassed the meter, and they said to her, no need to worry. So she had a year's free electricity. So that's another way that money can come back to you. She was also given rebates in the bank that had made some sort of miscalculation at some point, gave her money as well. I think that was £300. So when you are asking for money, it's not just that it may come to you, it may also be that it's not going out from you. So it can manifest in different ways. And she'd got manifesting down to such a fine art, and her son, that she would see something she liked and she would take a picture of it on her phone, and it would turn up. Now, it usually turns up very cheap or free. And again, I know that that's something that sounds quite impossible. She's not money orientated in that way. She was walking past a jeweler's and she saw a beautiful watch. I think it was Gucci, diamond encrusted, green face to it. And she thought, that's what I want. She took a picture of it. Now, it depends on how you feel about this. But in 3 days, she found identical watch. Obviously, it was fake. And it was in a charity shop. And she bought the watch for £10. It was exactly identical to the picture that she'd taken. Now, for her, it didn't matter that it was fake. It was just the watch she liked. It happened to be a Gucci. So she wasn't bothered by it. So she had that. Her son used to manifest as well. And he would manifest all kinds of things. And again, usually free. There was a particular game that he wanted. And he said to her, a few days after he'd expressed that he'd wanted this thing, we need to go into a charity shop. So they went in. She found something she wanted, and he'd spotted this game, brand new, boxed, unopened, on the shelf. And because she'd bought whatever she needed, and the shop owner, or charity shop owner, was quite pleased with that. They said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you that game. And so he got that free. So it manifests in all different kinds of ways. It's not exactly how you think it might be. But again, the sweetener is it turns up very cheap, or it turns up free. Not all the time, but as a general rule, that's what would happen. And so that's how I got one of my cars. The money came to buy my car, a Ford. I now have a lovely car myself, which again was manifested. I live in a beautiful home. I wouldn't buy again, so this is rented, but it's 400 years old. There's a well in the garden. It's all timber framed. It does have that wow factor when you walk in. And that was something that I thought of and wanted many, many years ago. So it took quite some time, 20 years or so, to come round. But as soon as I walked in, I realised that it is something that I'd wanted. And I'm going to tell you a rather strange story of how this beautiful home that I'm in came around, because that is a whole story itself. So that I'm going to tell you after the break. The important thing is to know that you can manifest anything that you want. It is without limit, whether it's the perfect partner, cars, houses, whatever it may be. And the key to it is the key to it is that you need to know it's going to turn up, have faith it's going to turn up, and allow that to happen. So we are in fact going to go into a break, and we'll be straight back after this, and I shall tell you an amazing story of how I found this place. So we'll be right back after this.
You know, Brock, I'm a little bummed since Tech Time ended.
Yeah, me too. But you know what we could do to fix this?
What?
A new show.
A new show? About what?
About all things paranormal. Not just technology, but everything.
Brilliant. What would we call it?
Paratime with Brock and Doc.
Cool. And it could air on Sundays at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific?
Only on the Paramania Radio Network.
Awesome. There's a new show on the horizon. No, really, that's what it's called. Join host Brock Burrows and Vicki Johns as they kick off the Sunday night lineup and talk about paranormal, spiritual, and current events that affect people and the world around them. They'll share how these events shape the world you live in and ask if these events control our decisions and our lives. Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific. And for our one little listener in North Korea, that's 9:30 a.m. You know who you are. On the horizon, only on the Paramania Radio Network. Welcome to the all-new Paramania Radio.
Don't go by the book. Think like a pirate.
Hi and welcome back. You're listening to Leo Bonomo on Paramania Radio, and we're talking about manifestation, and I'm going to go into several things that I've manifested. And one is this lovely home that I'm working in. So I lived in Loughton, I now live Bedford. And I had this girlfriend, and I used to come up here. I was quite impressed with Bedford, and she said, you know, you want to think about moving up here, and my immediate reply to that was that I'm not going to look for houses because I'll find something that will break my heart and I can't have it. And so that was kind of where we left it. And several weeks later, almost in a blur, I found that I was looking at my third house that day in Bedford or around Bedford. So it was kind of the universe and my guide saying, no, I think you need to be in Bedford. And there are many reasons why I need to be here, which I won't go into. But some of them were to be close to Cambridge University, which has a wonderful psychic investigation library, which was one of the reasons that I needed to be here. Anyway, I'd found myself in the car, and I'd got a call, and the guy said, are you still interested in this house? And I couldn't remember the house, and I thought, well, you know, where is it? And he told me, and my girlfriend said, oh, you don't want to go there, it's really horrible, it's this, and Spirit said to me, go see. So I said, no, I'm going. And the sat-nav took us the wrong way up the A1, which is the longest road in Britain. It runs from London to Edinburgh. We didn't quite do that distance. But it took me the wrong way. And then it took me the wrong way coming back. and we got lost a few times, and a couple of times it said you're here, and it was obviously we weren't. And cut a long story short, I ended up in a little village, and it kept saying you're here, and I couldn't find it. So by this time I was getting really annoyed because the appointment was late by then. So I thought, not having this, I took out my mobile, and I couldn't get a signal, and I couldn't phone the office and tell the agent I'm not bothering, and sitting there for 5 minutes fuming, completely lost, no telephone. And this lady come up, and she said, she drew up in her car, and she said, "Are you lost?" So I wound the window down. I said, "Yes, I am." She said, "You're not looking for this address?" And I said, "Yes, I am." She said, "It's 20 yards behind you. I live there." Fantastic. So we went in, and as soon as I walked in the door, I realised it was a place I'd manifested from decades before. So that's how I got here. So that's something else that happened. The wonderful thing is that it was £400 a month less than where I was living, and it was twice as big. 3 bedrooms and a dining room, big kitchen, everything that I wanted. It also has, it was built 400 years ago, it also has an original well. So every beautiful garden, beautiful neighbours, very quiet. It's all farmland, open land, lakes and rivers around here. So that was something else that I manifested. But again, the intention was, at that point, I'm not moving, can't afford it, and I'm not looking. And the interesting thing was, when I got home, once I saw the place, I realised that I had actually seen it, and I had printed out pictures, and obviously made contact. And when I got home, I couldn't find the pictures, I couldn't find the printouts, I couldn't find the confirmation, I couldn't find that particular agent. There was no evidence at all on my computer or printed out that I discovered this place and arranged for it. So that is something else. And so there are 2 properties that I have manifested, and both exactly what I wanted at that time. So it's not just small things that you can manifest, that you can create. It can be anything. Now you will know from listening to the program that I wrote a book called Summerland, and it was written by Automatic Writing. You can, if you want, find it on Amazon. It's sold all over the world, and it was written in 1987 by Automatic Writing. So basically, I would get some words in my mind and phrases and paragraphs, and I would start to write them down, and then I would pass out. So I would physically be unconscious, and Spirit, because it was trance or automatic writing, would take my hand with the pen still in it and write sometimes pages of A4 size paper, and then I would slowly come round as they left, and I would read what was there for the first time. So that's how the book was written. It was written in 1987, and I needed to find the time for when it would be published. Now, in Summerland, if you're lucky enough to have a copy, you will know that there are several predictions in there. One I'm not going to go into because I can't contractually, but there were several predictions in there, some of which have already come true. One is in the act of coming true, and there are a couple that are still need to come. But those predictions that were happening were also things that I realised I needed to manifest. And those things are happening as well. So I have dozens of things that I've manifested. And the reason that I'm saying this to you, it's not ego, it's not bragging, but what I'm trying to say is that if you approach manifestation the right way, it doesn't matter what it is or what we would hold value to, whether it's monetary or a relationship or anything else. These things will happen to you. In 2010, I decided that I wanted to go to New Zealand. I have family in New Zealand, and I said to the universe, I need to get to New Zealand. I haven't got the money, and I just need it to happen. And I was reading, I also work for a company called Psychics Connect, and I was doing a reading for a lady, and she was very impressed with what I was giving her, bless her. And she said to me, so this was in February that I asked to, I need to get to New Zealand. That's it. And I asked her, we got talking, and she said to me, would you, I'm an agent, would you like to do some demonstrations in New Zealand? And cut a long story short, in October of that year, October of 2010, I went to New Zealand, earned some money. The flight was free, the hotel was free, etc. So that manifested itself. So that was something else that I manifested. I got a lot of experience from that tour in different shades, and also worked with a wonderful international healer on one of the Cook Islands, Rarotonga. So I got all that out of it. She actually produced the first edition of Summerland, which I've got to say wasn't very good. I'd given her some photographs of cover, and one of the things I said was, well, of all the pictures, this is the one I don't want. That's the one that ended up on the cover. There's a whole lot of background to that, but she produced the book. There was no spell check or anything on it. It's a disaster, or it was a disaster, but that was something else that turned up as well. I've also asked to go to the States, and that happened as well. And I've done various things. I did a TV series which was filmed in Germany, and that was also in 2010 as well. And so lots of things were manifesting. And again, as I say, the reason that I'm telling you this is because manifestation does work. You have to get over the fact of, well, it may not work, and create lots of doubts for yourself. So the essentials are, and it's worth repeating, to have a clear idea of what you want. Don't be too specific about it. Be in a very happy frame of mind. Know that it's going to happen, and don't worry about how it's going to happen or when it's going to turn up. And you will find that whatever it is that you need will turn up. Some people, again, in trying to manifest, put unrealistic expectations on whatever it is they might want. And a good example of this is saying, I want to win the lottery and I want it by next month. The reason that, I'm not saying it can't happen, but the reason that that won't happen is the mind logically will weigh that up and say, what are the chances of that, 20, 30 million, whatever it might be, next month. So you have to approach it in a logical, common sense way. But once you do that and you get the hang of it, then these things will certainly begin to happen for you. And again, it's important to manifest small things first, so you know how amazingly this works, and that you get your confidence with it. One of the tricks that I use, because everybody has doubts, we all have negativity at times. And the thing with manifesting is that you can't have negativity. So one of the things that I've found which really helps me is that I go back to a time in summer many, many years ago when I was young. It was a beautiful warm day. I was lying in a field. I could smell the grass. The sun was hot. Birds were singing. It was perfect. And if you do get negative thoughts, what you need to do is to immediately replace those with, again, Peter Pan-like, happy thoughts. So it's not a question of never, ever, ever have a negative thought or be down or be depressed or think, oh, I'm asking for a car, but a Ferrari's out of the question. Replace those thoughts with a positive thought, a really happy thought. So that is a useful little tip and trick for you. Things can happen in all kinds of ways. One year I'd actually joined the health lottery, and about March or April, I think it was March, I said to the universe, I've got family in Italy. I want to go to Italy. I haven't got the money. Arrange it. Now, at that time, I needed £1,000 to clear all my bills. And being self-employed, if you take time off, you don't get paid. And so I said in March, this is what I want. And a few weeks later, I'd got an email, as we all do, you've won top prize. So I did the rational thing. I binned it. I then got another, did the same, another, did the same. I then got another. And I thought, right, okay. I replied. I said, okay, you've now got my attention. Send me the money, because I thought this was fraud. I thought this was quite blatant. And so they basically said, no, it's not a fraud. You have won the money. You've won the top prize. Top prize was £1,000. So I said, okay, I don't remember entering anything, but send me the money. They then replied and said that they'd had a problem with their computer. They couldn't give me the money. They were sorting it out. So by this time I was quite fed up. Now this went on for quite a few months. Again, to cut a long story short, the money came through. It had been delayed. Everything they told me was absolutely genuine. And I got the money in August, which was the month I was flying out. The sweetener to that is that if I had the money before, I'd have probably spent it in some ways, paid some bills or done something else with it. So the sweetener was it arrived in time, in that month, when I needed to cover that month. So, I've got lots of amazing stories that I can tell you about manifestation and what I've manifested. But it's essential to know that it does work. As I was talking about the lottery before, and some things that skeptics throw at us is, psychics don't win the lottery, if you've got this ability, because of course they put it all down to money. And if you're spiritual in that sense, money, I never worry about money. I know it's going to be there. I know it's going to turn up, and I know it's not going away. So I don't have to worry about it, and I don't. But psychics will often say, well, if you've got this amazing ability, why has no psychic won the lottery? And the reason that I'm mentioning this is when I was teaching Circle in church in South Woodford, we were talking about manifestation. A couple of people asked, and some said, and a lovely pupil of mine, she said, well, look, it doesn't work for me. So I said, okay, what we'll do is we'll do manifestation the next week. And as we did it, and I explained really what I've explained tonight, and said, right, now you need to ask for something for next week. and when we all come in next week, you're going to tell us how you got on. Well, this lady was absolutely amazed because she'd been out of work for some time, and what she wanted was a lottery win. Now, she did win the lottery. It was only £10, but she asked for a lottery win and she got it. Now, over about 2 years, she'd won the lottery, varying amounts, sometimes £4 or £5. At one point, she won 4,000. But she won the lottery 24, 25 times. She's not got the amount that she wants, but she's got a lot of money from it. So she's absolutely gone smack. She also eventually manifested a job that she wanted, and that turned up as well. So she was out of work eventually for 4 years, but towards the end she manifested the job that she wanted. But she'd won the lottery many times, so there is no limit to what we can do, and it's something that is, I wouldn't say owed to us, but it's our right to ask. We don't take. It's not taken from anyone else. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a relationship and you need someone to turn up in your life, as in my case, houses, cars, money. It doesn't matter. The book being printed and selling, and other things associated with the book. All those things that I've manufactured. Manifested have turned up. So it doesn't matter what it is. You just need to start small, get that conviction, and then understand that it will turn up. It will turn up in its time. So that's not when you want or when you demand. Sometimes it does, but it's when the timing is right. That's something that's important to understand. And that takes me back really to that gentleman that was asked by his son, what's in this box, and there was this wishboard. And the house that he wanted was actually the one they were moving into. Now, the wishboard is something good. It's something useful because, again, it's not a want that's stressful. It's not a reminder, I need to think about that, and I need to go over this, and I need to think again. And it's not stressful. It's just a gentle reminder that you've asked for something, and it is just a very gentle reminder that what you've asked for is going to turn up. So in The Secret, they do say that a wishboard is something good to have. So if you're needing anything and you're wanting anything, this is the way to manifest, the way that's been explained. And again, there is no limit to what it might be, what form it takes, whether it's money, personal goods, or anything else. So if you do want a reading, or you do want to buy my book, Summerland, SUMMERLAND, you can find that on Amazon. If you want a private reading from me, you can get me on www.leo-bonomo.com. You can call in or in the chat room and ask for a reading, which is free. I do apologise, my throat's getting a bit sore. So you can do that. So if you want to, you can get us on 0702 4081 if you're in the UK, or you can get us in the USA, and it's 919 2950 150. You can, of course, get us in the chat room or on Facebook. So that would be www.facebook.com/Paramania Radio. So if you have any thoughts and you want perhaps to explain how the The Secret or Manifestation has worked for you, or you have any questions on it, or you want a reading, then do call in. So, okay. Now, one of the things that I did explain to my daughter about manifestation, and I don't think she really got it. I did explain it quite succinctly, and being young or youngish, I think she was 18 or 19 at the time. She didn't feel quite spiritually connected to The Secret and how these things might happen. Now, what happened to her has happened to me, and it does tend to happen to spiritual people. There's a time when things will fall into place. Many people who are spiritually sensitive will tell you a similar story of being attracted to a book, or a book literally falling out from the bookshelf in front of them, being pushed out by spirit, buying the book, getting it home and leaving it for a year, 6 months, sometimes 2 or 3 years, and then's the time to read it. So what I did, I'd given my daughter a talk on how it works, and actually gave her The Secret as well. And what she did was she tucked it away. She also did that with Summerland as well. I don't think she's read it yet. But there will come a time when the notion falls into place of, this is the time I need to read it. So if you do get the DVD or the book, or you're taking this in and you think it's interesting, don't fret about it if you're not immediately drawn to use it. Hopefully you are, but if you're not, there is a time when you will feel inclined to look it over and to put it into practice. So we'll be going into a break in a minute or two, and if you want to ask or contact us, then please, excuse me, please do. So once again, if you want private readings from me, you can get me on www.leo-bonomo.com. You can ask for readings here. Anything you want to ask on any subject at all, whether it's development, ghosts, entities, whatever it is you might want some advice on, or just have curiosity about, then do call us. So we're going to go into a break now, and we'll be straight back after this.
Kicking off a new year and returning to Sunday night at his old time slot, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, join host Tim Malley as he brings you the most recognizable names in the paranormal field on Fox Cities Paranormal Radios.
What do you see? The cult of personality.
Have you ever wondered what's behind the open door? Then tune in with hosts Maggie Renee and Jody Nettles every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Only on the Paramania Radio Network.
Welcome to the all-new Paramania Radio.
Don't go by the book. Think like a pirate.
Hi, welcome back. Just having an interesting conversation during the break. Okay, so once again, if you want to talk about manifestation, then please do call. If you're in the States, it's 919-295-0150. If you're in the UK, it's 0702 4081722, or you can get us in the chat room or on Facebook, and it's facebook.com/Paramania Radio. I've gone through the techniques of how you need to be, and hopefully explain some of the workings behind manifestation, and the fact that there are no limits with whatever it might be, whether it's the ideal partner for you, the ideal job, just generally making sure you've got enough money, whatever it might be, whatever crazy dream you might have. And I've given lots of examples of things that have turned up for me, whether it's going to another country, whether it's work, whether it's money, homes, cars, whatever it is, there is no limit. Even if it's just something simple like a peaceful, happier life, the universe wants to manufacture it for you. There is no limit in the universe as to the extent, so whether it's a small amount of money or a large amount of money, whatever it might be, then it can be provided. One of the things that I've not talked about is entrepreneurs and people that are perhaps leaders in industry and things like that. So a good example, I think, is Richard Branson. Successful entrepreneurs can see, and they have a vision very clearly in their mind of what it is they want to achieve. And they see it so clearly, they force that image, they force that dream into reality. And that is something that successful people have. It's not just drive. It's not just, I'll work 23 hours a day for 6 months and get this done. Yes, we need to be proactive. Yes, we need to show the universe that we are willing to do what it takes to achieve it. It's not just that, but it is having a very clear, strong vision, very clear in the mind, and knowing that it will happen and you're prepared to help it happen. And that's something that successful entrepreneurs all have in common: clear vision and that determination to see it through. And once you've got that image, what they are doing, whether they realise it or not, is manifesting that particular outcome. So if you think of people like that, and sometimes, we say that, well, they're really lucky. They happen to be in the right place at the right time. As you know from listening to the show, I don't believe in coincidence. Never. It always happens for a reason. And if the reason sometimes can be very deeply buried, but the reason will always be there. So I don't believe in coincidence at all. I once was having a discussion with a gentleman he was a scientist, and he was quite sceptical, and the two things tend to go along for some strange reason. And I was explaining to him about mediumship and how we connect to spirit, and he wasn't very convinced, bless him. And in a sense, I wasn't trying to convince him, but I was just trying to say, well, look, if you look at these without the skeptic part of you interfering at it, and just look at these things. And in the end, I said to him, about this person that manifested a certain outcome, and he said, well, coincidence, typical skeptic answer. But I also said, well, what this person had done was repeated time after time, and other people also manifested these things. And he just said, well, I don't know, I wasn't there, which is a real sort of get out, So for people that have closed minds like that and have the thoughts of this can't happen, it won't happen, there's no way it's going to happen, that kind of mindset really does limit their lives. So if you're looking for examples of people manifesting, then entrepreneurs and successful business people is a direction to look in. They obviously know something. It isn't just a particular skill, although of course some are talented, but that for me is just being proactive. I'm just going to take a quick swig. We've got Darcy on the line. Hi, Darcy.
Hi, Leo.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm very well, very well. I'm just talking tonight about manifestation and bringing things into existence, and the way that it works. Have you manifested anything or seen examples of manifestation?
I've been trying. I've been listening to your show. I love it.
Thank you.
I think in small ways. You're right, though. You have to stay very positive and you just have to be sure that it's going to show up. I know that.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the hardest things to do, because as I said, for me, the trick is asking for it. Know it's going to happen. Be happy. Leave it be, and just let it happen. And that's that's the difficult thing, I think, for people to grasp. Because we tend to want to just confuse or complicate the thing, and that's something
or
that
try
we
and control it.
do. Yeah, try and control it, because again we get quite obsessive about it, and about the whatever it might be, and we want it, and we want it now, kind of thing. And it's like you can't demand, because when you put stress into something like that, the universe stresses senses the stress, and when it senses the stress, it interprets that as doubt or worry, and then it just gives up. And it's a hard thing for people to get a notion of, really, especially if they don't quite accept it works in the first place. It's a bit of a no-no. But
have you ever just known you were going to get something, or something would happen without even? Sometimes I remember one time, it was kind of a silly example, but I was on this bus trip, and at the end of the bus trip, they said, "Well, we're we're going to put everybody's name badge in a bucket and then draw one out, and somebody will get a free jacket.
Yeah.
And so we all put them in there, and I said, well, draw anyone you want to as long as it's mine. And there it was.
Yeah, you know, it's when you do demonstrations at a church, you also get to see. You do a lucky draw. You know, for people, there's a kind of little lottery thing, and I once drew out a ticket for someone, and then quite randomly again put my hand in, pulled out another ticket, and they'd won a second prize. And then a third prize, you know, and at that point, everybody's thinking, obviously, this is a fix, you know, somewhere there's some cheating going on somewhere. So it was quite funny. But then, you know, when I later talk to those people or other people that run the church, you go, oh, they're always like that, you know, and it's just that they accept being lucky and that good things are going to happen. And I think if you're in that frame of mind, it does a lot. What is it you've been wanting to manifest?
I've been wanting to study mediumship seriously, and actually I've been thinking that I want to go to England.
Ah, well, if you do, that's a great thing. I mean, and we could obviously meet if you don't mind.
Yes,
but yeah,
I seriously been thinking about it.
Well, if you need the funds to do it or the opportunity to do it, then what I would say to you is to keep a very clear image. David's just said we can all stay at Leo's house. Yeah, you know, you'd be welcome. I've got a spare room. But yeah, it's to keep a very clear. It's only if you take the hint and leave after 6 months, you know. I'd like to get the house back at some point. But if you keep a very clear image of doing the mediumship, seeing England, and just let that go, you'll find that what will happen is the opportunity to come will be. Yeah, David said it's only £400 a week to stay. And that's an idea. See, David, money just manifests itself. Yeah, that's another £400 a week I can get. That's great. Yeah, so, you know, keep that image in your mind, and then what will happen is the opportunity will present itself. And if it's a question of money as well, then it's no good having the opportunity if you can't take advantage of it. So the money will also be there. I know it sounds very fairy tale like, you know, but these things happen. They happen to me all the time now. And so...
so should I try smaller? Is that too big? The only thing that maybe I'm just, you know, that's a big one.
Well, it is a big one, but if you keep that in mind, but then, okay, let's try and think of something for you. What would you want if it's something small to prove to you that this works? What would be a good example for you?
Like, say I need $1,000 to pay bills.
Okay, $1,000. Right, so what you need to do is to see that $1,000 in your mind, know that it's coming to you, and just be very, very happy about that. So you also want to clear any thoughts that you might have of, I've got a bill to pay, because it's just the money coming to you. If you think of it in terms of, I need the money because I've got a bill. It's the I've got a bill. The stress of that is what defeats the object. Okay. So it's just you need to think that you've got enough money. Bills are going to get paid, no question.
Okay.
and $1,000 would be really nice. And just hold that thought. We can't promise that this is going to happen for next week, but stranger things happen at sea, and just keep that in your mind. And it's okay to go back to it from time to time. Think, oh yes, there's $1,000 coming to me. That's fine. But not in, oh, where is it? I could have done with it last week. Yeah, none of those. Yeah, because that stress, it interprets as doubt. So know it's coming. Know you can get your bills paid, and you've got this money coming. And keep those happy thoughts, and we'll see how long it takes to turn up.
Okay.
Fantastic. Have you got any other questions you'd like to ask?
And so just think positive on it, not try to dwell on it.
Yeah, don't dwell on it.
Remember that, let it go.
Yeah, and let it go. And if it comes into your mind at some point, it should be not where is it, but oh yes, it's coming. And again, not worry about which direction, because again, sometimes money turns up. As I gave the example of my friend where she needed money in, but what happened was she got free electricity for a year, and sometime after a bank phoned her up and said, "Oh, we've made a terrible mistake, and that we're refunding you £300." So sometimes it's not money coming to you; it's just that it's not going out. So if it's not going out, you've obviously got it to pay the bills as well. But just keep it in mind, and it's that surety that it's going to turn up some way, and being and accepting it. Fantastic. Have you got any other questions at all? I've been waiting for your grandmother to turn up, and there's a complete blank.
That's almost surprising.
Yeah, she's probably she's probably having a night off.
Maybe. There's nobody else there either, huh?
There isn't. I've got to be honest. There.
Wow.
It's very unusual. Yeah, there's just like I don't know. I think it's my guide's just saying this. He just said, yes, it's kind of a deathly silence, because he's got a weird sense of humour at times. And I'm thinking, okay, but there's nothing there. It's like, CB radio, and there's not even crackle. It's just like nothing. So I can't help you with that. That is unusual.
It must be vacation time or something.
Yeah, they're probably thinking, oh, I can't be bothered tonight. We got something else to do. We'll bless. Yeah, because she's usually got plenty to say. Yeah, but there you go. Okay. Anything else I can help you with?
No, I don't think so. I'm just going to work on that. So.
Yeah, keep happy thoughts. You might want to try for something small as well, like a free coffee or something. Because again, as that turns up, the thing that really gets you is that sometimes you do it with a little bit of disbelief, and you think, a free three-course meal would be nice, and then a friend will turn up and go, "Oh, do you want to go out? It's on me," and you think, "Oh my God, that worked," and the disbelief kicks in, or gets demolished, and you think, "Oh my God," and that's the exciting bit, because I suppose the first thing you think of is, nah, it's a coincidence. So I'll ask for something a bit unusual, like, I don't know, a new mop bucket, and then a neighbour comes up and says, oh, guess what I got? I got 2 of these free. Here's one. And you think, now that isn't random, and that's the joy of it. These things start turning up and you think, oh my God, this does work. And I think it's important to keep that wonder, of it does work. And yeah, and it just builds, it snowballs, from there.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah. I find it's so interesting. It's yeah.
It really is mind blowing. As I say, my friend and her son, they've got it off to a T, and just the weirdest things turn up. Like she'll say something really random, like, I want a piece of jewelry, and she'll find it on the pavement. Or she likes charity shops, and she'll go in, and they won't know it's real gold, and they'll go, oh, give us a couple of cents for it, and she'll go, okay. And we used to play games with each other, like who could get the either the weirdest thing turn up, or just really random things, like I can't think of anything now.
I had a girlfriend that used to do that with scratch lottery tickets. We'd be going somewhere, and like she'd say, well, I want to go shopping, I need to buy a birthday present or something. And so we'd always stop at the gas station, and she said, well, I got to buy a scratch off lottery ticket. And she would do it all the time. She'd say, well, I don't even have any money. And I said, well, why are we going shopping? And she said, well, I'll go get a ticket. So she'd win $45, $50 every time. And then she said, okay, now I can go buy the birthday present.
Yeah, because some people have this gift naturally, and they might just say, oh, yeah, I'm just lucky. But it's not luck. I mean, some people are lucky, but I think a lot of it is just manifestation. And like her, when you know it works, you expect it to work. There's no doubt, and you think, need some money, go buy a ticket. Yeah. It does work that way. So that's a good example, really, for you in knowing it works for your friend. It isn't that she's the odd one out. That this can happen to everyone. So it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to let you go. Oh, bless you. Thank you for calling. I'm going to have to let you go. We've got a couple of minutes of the program left. So lots and lots of love.
Okay,
You take care.
Thank you so much.
Bless you, darling. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so if you do want a reading, you can get me on www.leo-bonomo.com. Do ring into the show, 919-2950150, or from the UK, it's 0702-4081722, chat room, or on Facebook. Do have a look at my book, Summerland, as well. It explains a lot about the afterlife, what passing is like, how we progress, and you can get that on Amazon. So with that, thank you very much for listening, and we'll be back next week.